Hello, and welcome to the final day of the Heal Your Shadow Relationship Summit. I hope you've enjoyed the journey. And today, for my final segment, I've decided to give us a real treat and kind of tie it in with the upcoming Halloween holiday because we have with us the lovely and talented actress Brooke Lewis, who is not only an actress but is also a board certified life coach and dating expert. So she's got the goods on both sides for us here today, folks. Welcome, Brooke.
Neola, thank you so much. This is such a treat, you guys, and it's such an honor. So Neola, thank you with so much gratitude for inviting me to this summit. This is amazing. And I get to do so many fun activities and events and speaking engagements throughout the years, both an actress and a horror star and a dating expert now and life coach. So when things like this, come to pass, and thank you again for acknowledging the actress combined with the coach. We talked about that previously, and so this is just an honor, and I hope that I can bring something wonderful to the table into Halloween season.
Oh, I'm sure you are going to do just that, and I'm going to tell our viewers a little bit about your background. So, as a working actress, Brooke is very well known as a scream queen and sci-fi goddess. And she has been fortunate to work opposite a long list of talented veteran actors. I'm not even going to go into it. I'm just going to tell everybody, look her up on her IMDb page. And Brooke has also won the B-Movie Golden Cob Award for Scream Queen of the Year 2010. But in her alter ego, as a board-certified life coach and dating expert, Brooke has done a lot of writing and speaking and TV segments as a dating coach, and she's been in such media as San Diego Living, Huffington Post, She Knows, Woman's Day, Meet Mindful, it goes on. And she's empowered hundreds of women and men around the world, giving them knowledge they can use in their everyday lives and giving them the confidence they need to go after love and go after their dreams. And Brooke, I love your motto. Be fearless.
Yay! That is something that I have had to, that's been my challenge, Neola, and anyone watching since childhood is breaking through fears, being you, being fearless, being myself, owning it, hot mess and all. I'm not one of those, and I really sort of feel very strongly about this. I'm not one of those, and I respect all healing and all spirituality, but I come from this place of owning my hot messness and saying, everyone has to have the opportunity to have their own voice, to love who they are, flawed and all, and it's been a great challenge for me, especially in the business that I have, that has been chosen for me, I believe. And so I'm all about be you and be fearless. And yes, I named my life coaching business after that. And now my dating coaching, I deal with being fearless very, very much, as you know. So yes.
Yes, and so what you're really talking about here is really looking at the shadow. I call it the shadow. You call it own your hot mess. The hot mess is the shadow. And
yes.
I just want to talk a little bit about Halloween. When I was researching, of course, we all know it's a holiday of honoring the dead, but ancient peoples used to encourage, the idea was to dress up like your fear, like what you fear, so that you would face your fear. So that's why I thought it would be very appropriate for us to speak to that today, to look at your fears, to face your fears. And it's all about healing the shadow. And I love the fact that you said you own your hot mess. So maybe we're going to start with that right now. Tell us a little bit more about how does one own one's hot mess?
I love that. And again, to address the shadow, when you had first contacted me and reached out, we know, and I'm sure we will get to the theoretical version of the shadow in the relationship, and I have a couple variations of it that I use in my coaching as well. And so it is really magical and really perfect in the scheme of life and metaphysics right now to be here together with you and that you reached out to me, because so much of my life has been about having a dark side and being okay with it and learning to accept it and learning, understanding who I am authentically. And it's so spiritually kind of ironic, I feel, how I can see it now in hindsight. Hindsight's 2020, and how and why I grew into the career that chose me, and I've loved it since childhood. I was a huge horror movie fan as a kid and loved vampires. And how, in the craziest of ways, and I say this all the time, that God, and I say that in higher power, God laughs when we're making plans. Never, I was the actress and the child who laughed a lot and who cried a lot, was very melodramatic, but also, was very comedic, was able to make fun of myself throughout a lot of challenges and tragedies in my life. So, and I own that and I speak about that, coming from a family of divorce since I was very young, going through spurts with weight gain and loss, and always having sort of a body dysmorphic disorder, and really being very hard on myself, and really being very fearful, and having my own personal demons, my own personal shadow, to ever truly be myself and be okay with it as a kid, as a teenager, even growing up. I didn't really start to understand until college. And then the truth is, I really didn't start to understand myself until I was 30. So, and I know a lot of women go through that,
Sure.
and so I think that it's about learning that. And then the irony around, never in a million years after doing Broadway and network sitcoms did I think that I would become a famous horror actress and a scream queen and sci-fi goddess. And I'm so grateful for that platform, and I embraced it after doing, again, all other, mediums like comedy and mobster movies. And it's so interesting. And I was asked this once in a big interview at the Spike TV Scream Awards. And they said, what is it about horror that attracts you as a woman, as an actress, right? And it is about the dark side. We all have it. And some people are so afraid to embrace it and to face it and to accept your shadow. And we know that carries over, which we'll talk about, into relationships and love relationships and friendships. But I think, and I said this, that there's something about horror, there's something about the Halloween season that opens us all up to exploring that dark side, to tapping into it, not in a vicious or mean or malicious way. I don't encourage that. I mean, as women especially, to allow that sexiness in, to allow the inner Wicca in us to come out, to allow the mystery, and say, it's okay. I don't need to be who and what society chooses for me. I get to choose. I get to explore. I get to be free. I get to have my voice, and I get to be fearless in the shadow and embrace it.
Oh my goodness, Brooke, you just brought up so many points and so much great stuff there. And I'm just going to pick out one here and there. Actually, I'm going to tie it in again to Halloween because, the reason that people chose this time of year, which for them was the Harvest Festival, and they chose this time of year to face your fears because you're about to go into a long, dark winter and a cold winter, and this is the northern ancient peoples who were going to get snowed in, and they had to face their fears to make it through the winter, to make sure that they were going to have enough survival means, enough food, enough, did they harvest enough? Did they store enough? And so for us to face our fears, and there were some things that you said in there, that when you face your fear, you actually, if you can own it, there's so much power there. You can really become a powerful person. And I think also you mentioned that it's so paradoxical. A lot of times I meet spiritual people who want to be so spiritual, they believe that it's all about just being only love and only kindness. And all of that is very, very good, and we want to strive to be kind to our fellow human being. But in order to be the most spiritual, you really got to look at your dark stuff and let it come to the light, because that makes you the powerful. I mean, Debbie Ford addressed this in her book, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. So that's pretty much what you're talking about right there.
100%. I love that, and I love what you said, and that's something that, again, and I respect all coaching and therapy practices, so I never judge. I'm not judgmental. For me and what I coach with my clients, and I think that they appreciate this very much, whether it's in life coaching or dating coaching, And I coach a lot of young women, a lot of young actresses, because it's a relatedness in here in Hollywood, and I Skype all over the world. But one thing that I love to support them in and uphold them in and with is owning your feelings. Own it. Whatever it is, feel what you feel. And Neola, I've written about this a lot. Like, I'm not about squashing people's feelings. You feel what you feel. Good, bad, indifferent, painful, ugly, it doesn't matter. And I tell everyone, allow yourself to be in that space, in that feeling space. Feel it now. There is a time where you have to choose, not have to choose, but you want to choose to move through it and to move forward and get out of that negative vibration. But while you're in it, don't ignore it, because then we suppress, our truth. And you don't want to suppress your truth. You want to accept it. You want to embrace it. You want to feel it and say, okay, fine. I allowed myself to be in the yuck space, and now I understand it and I can move forward from there.
Great. So, when we're in that yuck space, I want you to maybe take us through an example. Like, can you think of something that one of your clients, what do we do when we find ourselves in whatever that horrible emotion is? And most of us, really have this resistance where it's like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to feel that, and of course, we have different kinds of programming, like it's not cool to be emotional, or you don't want to overexpress it. So exactly what's the right way to deal with it and to feel it and to be in that space?
I love that. And again, to make everyone comfortable, we both know, I never say there's a right way or a wrong way. It's just, I love what you said. And I've written about this as well, this about just being in general. Be with it, allow everything in. And I'll do exercises with clients, just about sitting for even 5 minutes. And they're so simple. And I'm not inventing this. We all know this, just sit with whatever it is you're feeling. Allow yourself to feel it for 5 minutes, and then choose to change your thoughts, right? Every metaphysical teacher teaches us our thoughts create our feelings. So choose then to change your thoughts. Start thinking about that. And I do a lot of exercises, and I'm very blessed. I have I became a certified life coach from the Life Purpose Institute. And one lesson that I absolutely loved that we worked on when I was in school that Fern gave us was an exercise where you go back and you remember like a very high vibrational positive experience. Now, again, whether it's life coaching or the dating coaching stuff, you can flip it around, and I'll do that with clients where if it's a life coaching thing, it's getting, especially with my creatives, getting into, think back in that space once you allow your feelings, and feel the yuck, then moving on, think about that experience in your life that was magical, that you remember that amazing feeling, that amazing emotion, where you can bring yourself back to that. And for me, I know one of my greatest memories is when I worked on a Fox sitcom, and I felt the success. I felt like I made it. I felt, and the feeling is still so strong vibrationally for me that I can bring myself back to that. So I encourage my young actors and creatives and directors and writers to go back to that space of that amazing memory, that experience, and feel it and get back into that high vibration and feeling, And with dating too, I have a lot of men, women that come in or I Skype with, and they are so stuck in a bad dating experience, especially now. And, I coach a lot. I really pride myself on being an online dating expert. I'm a terrible relationship expert, I have to admit. Terrible relationship coach. And I don't, we're not all good at everything. And I'm far from mastered the healthy relationship yet. But I know all about love. I'm a love bug. And I use that in my work and my life and my career. And I also am a pro at dating and online dating because I've done it so much. I mean, you become an expert, I feel, from what you've been through. And I've been through it all. So, when I talk about, I have a lot of people that contact me and they really need to break through on like the online dating stuff, because that's a whole other new world that a lot of single people are just entering, especially people who have been married and now they're divorced and they're getting back out there. And it can be very scary. Here we go again, and we'll talk about more. I know, keeping on the subject, the shadow, because I have a couple theories around that. But when we're breaking through that, it's very easy to get caught up in the, I had the worst date of my life. I had the worst online date of my life. And so I don't think I can push through and do this again. And you must. You must allow yourself to feel all the negative, feel the rejection, feel the pain, feel the disappointment, feel all of it, that you put the energy and time into going on that date and the person looked nothing like their photo, or they were mean to you, or they were, aggressive, and then you have to move on. And then again, I would go into that exercise of, let's remember a phenomenal date that you had. I don't care if it was when you were a teenager, and get back into that space of love and positivity. And we have to then move you forward into getting back out there, because it is a numbers game. We know that dating, love, it's a game. And, we choose how we want to play it. And that gives us the power.
Okay, since you've mentioned a couple of times you've got your theories about the shadow, why don't we go ahead and talk about them?
Okay, let's do that. Because I love that. And it's actually, I've had the conversation about the shadow relationship and relationships prior to our conversation, but not to this degree and not to this level. And I love it. And I love being challenged. And Neola, you really challenged me as a coach and spiritualist, to really think about this and really understand it myself, which is amazing, because I love learning, and I love, I always learn from people like you, which is great. So, two things, two different sort of contexts, I would say, with the shadow relationship. And one, theoretically, we all know that the shadow relationship is really the dark side. It really is. We all have it. People, like we said initially, are afraid to tap into it, but it's there. And again, I believe in owning it. I own it. I know my flaws. I'm the first one to, if I'm going to date someone, I'll be the first one to tell them what my flaws are. Here's what you're dealing with, buddy. Take it or leave it, like it or not, and I own it. And I think it's really important to do that. And believe me, it's a very vulnerable space to do that, and to put yourself out there like that. But it's much more authentic and real. And in the long run, yes, it will scare people away and they will run, but at least you're being yourself, and they know what they're getting and you know what you're giving. So I feel that the shadow relationship in the theoretical, context is that dark side, again, that we all have. And I always speak about this, whether it's life coaching, dating coaching, about the mirror image. And I truly believe that everyone, even if in a moment, a season, a reason, a lifetime, all that good stuff, even for a moment, everyone is in our universe to teach us something, whether it be good, bad, ugly, pretty, it doesn't matter, So everyone, it's that mirror to show us something that either we want to change, that we admire and respect and want or need to change in our lives, or the yuck and the ugly and the nasty or whatever that, is there, that mirror to show us what we don't like about ourselves. And we know that that's really the shadow relationship. And I firmly believe, and especially someone like me, some people go through it with one person and one relationship, and other people like myself, you keep going through it over and over until that lesson, until you are healed. This is the shadow relationship, is all about healing. And we go through it over and over again in different faces, different names, same typical scenario and situation, until we ourselves are healed from the love, the void that, whatever it is in childhood, whatever it is that scarred us emotionally, that traumatized us. It could be anything. And people like me, I've gone through so many of the same thing to learn, to heal. And I'm still not fully through it yet. I'm learning every day, but I'm getting closer, and I feel that. So that's my first real, sort of, it's really about the healing. The shadow is there for the healing, but it can be very painful. Then I love also, and I've always had this sort of in my mind about that shadow relationship. And again, it's usually one really painful, powerful one, but it could be several relationships. And I'm talking more of a person where, and I talk about this a lot in my dating coaching, where it's that shadow, it's that dark thing, it's that demon, it's that thing that needs to be healed, that is constantly like the little devil on the shoulder that follows us around. And it's there because it sometimes puts up the wall. And I talk about this like with the dating stuff, right? And online dating stuff. And I have to catch myself doing this all the time when I'm dating. One little thing could be said, or one little thing could be done or not done, and you jump the gun and you jump to that conclusion and I do this and I assume, okay, he did that. That's how my ex treated me. That is a bad situation for me to be in. So that dark shadow's still lingering here. So then I jump the gun and I choose not to go out with that person, or I choose not to continue the relationship with that person. And is that fair is the question, because that person, if that's my shadow, that's that thing that creeps around that I have yet to heal or let go of with that other past relationship. And we all know that living in the past is doing us no good. You know, we are here to live in the present and create our future and bring it into the present in relationships, of course. So we have to be very careful. But that thing is there and it's not conscious. And I do it all the time with online dating, where someone will send me an email and something they say, and I'm also challenged, and I know that that's my healing I have to do and my mirror stuff I have to work on. So someone will say something, challenge me, where they'll say, well, you're very attractive, but what's wrong with you that you don't want children? And I'm very clear, and that was a choice I made early on because I'm very married to my career, and I call my careers my babies. And so for me, that's like a knife in my heart. And I'm sharing that, authentically with anybody who's watching, because I think it's super important, and it's something I'm working on as a woman, being in my power, staying in my power, owning my choices, and not letting anyone else's judgment cloud that, right? You're shaking your head. So it's
I'm applauding you, honey. I'm applauding you.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, half my friends have beautiful children, and that's wonderful, and they're happy and fulfilled. I made that choice. So
just to let you know, I made that choice as well, and my husband made that choice. So, for us, it was very clear. Not everybody is a parent, and I totally admire and respect the people who are. I think It's just an amazing, role in life, an amazing devotion, but not for everybody.
It's not for everyone, and I know that too. So I admire and respect your choice. I admire and respect others, like you said. So it's so interesting to me because, and I'm really emphasizing it because it's such a shadow for me to heal, where in past relationships, I've had wonderful, wonderful relationships, been madly in love with wonderful men, been proposed to, and have turned down the proposal because that person wanted children, or they wanted me to move to another state to be with them. And I would have had a wonderful life, but it wouldn't have been the life that I was destined to have. And I made a very clear choice about that. So as clear as I am, and I say that with conviction, and as much as I don't even waver on my choice, when I am sent an email from a stranger on an online dating site challenging me or judging me about that choice, because I'm clear on my profile, it says does not want children, and then for someone it feels like an attack, and it feels like they're judging me. I guess that's what it's about, and I'm discovering it with you here. I find it, first of all, offensive, and second of all, it's like, but then we know if you're truly spiritual and working on yourself every day, it's not about them, it's about us and what we need to learn. And that, I believe then, and I work on it with my coach and healers, is, I have to then stand in my power and go, I'm not going to be emotionally charged or thrown by a question from a stranger. I own it. I own that. That's my choice. No one can take that power away from me. And that is where I think that shadow always lingers, and it's about it, and it goes right back, like you said, to the fear, because the fear of then I'm not good enough, I'm not right, I'm not pleasing that person, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, you totally said it right there, because I was going to say that the shadow part of it is the part of you that experienced it as an attack. Now, if you were my client, I would have you sit with that and have you feel that attack. It hurts. And what's underneath of that? And like you said, underneath of that is wishing you could please the other person, wishing they wouldn't judge you, because ultimately we really don't like it when people separate from us, because we're all one. We're all love to be connected in spirituality, in spirit, in love, in joy with each other. Somebody judges you, it feels like an attack. It's a split in our spirit and our soul. And so what doing the shadow work is owning it, that it's not about them. We're not going to condemn them. We're not going to judge them. They have every right to their opinion, whatever they think about you, whatever they feel. And I think, I forget, it was Terry Cole Whitaker. She wrote a book that said, What you think of me is none of my business.
I love that. And you know, it's funny. I've had acting coaches that have quoted that quote. I'm gonna have to get that book. That is brilliant. Brilliant.
It's a great quote. So, you know, you just, Brooke, you have such an overwhelming amount of fabulous information. I know you're just trying to jam it all in for us here. And my goodness, this half hour is going by so quickly. But I want to acknowledge a few things you said. You said in there, the shadow is that part of you that you don't like about yourself. Because people are always asking me, how do I recognize the shadow? We don't always see it in ourselves. Well, what don't you like about yourself? What are you trying to change about yourself? What are you judging about yourself? What do you think is your flaw? You know, if you can come to peace with it, accept it, and it doesn't mean that that's an excuse for not trying to grow beyond it. But you can't really get beyond it if you haven't accepted it. You know, like I have this tendency, whatever it is, to be judgmental. And instead of going, no, 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 I don't want to be that. No, I hate that about myself. No, I got to change it. It's like, okay, I'm judgmental. Okay, so let me just notice it every single time it comes up. And, you know, okay, this person pushed my button and I wanted to go, you dirty rat, whatever. And then you just kind of go, okay, there it is again. So just noticing it and seeing how can you transform that and how can you turn it into love for that person, which ultimately ends up being love for yourself, because that's taking good care of yourself. So,
which is not easy, and it's not easy as women.
As women,
and I tell clients that all the time. You know, I say I'm not blowing smoke here. Like, this is challenging. Life is challenging. We choose. With every choice, there's a consequence, good or bad. That's not, people hear that as a negative. That's just an effect, a cause. So it's a lot about choices and power in our choices. You know, so I love what you said.
Thank you, Brooke, so much. I'm just going to tell people to go to your website, beyoubefearlesslifecoach.com. And, you know, we're wrapping up the summit. I hope everybody has enjoyed being with us all these past weeks, and I hope you miss us. And I am going to keep up the experts' free gifts that are offering free gifts and all the links for you to go and get more of what you need for your soul and for your shadow and for yourself and for becoming the most powerful self that you can possibly be. So from Brooke and myself, I know that you wish for our viewers to just be whole, be complete, and have any parting words for everybody. Let's hear it.
I love that. Just honestly, be you and be fearless. And again, it's Halloween time. Great time to face your fears. And fear equals act anyway. Like Nike says, just do it.
Just do it. So thank you so much, Brooke, for being with me. It's been a tremendous pleasure. And I will look forward.
My pleasure.
I look forward to keeping in touch with you on the website and all else.
I can't wait, and hopefully I'll be invited back again.
Okay.
My honor. Thank
Much
you,
love.
Neola.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.